It was a stormy night.
Ooh, set in the mood.
I know.
I haven't drank in 25 fucking days.
I was going to say, man.
We know where David's at. I found this on the internet, and it must be true.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen the internet. Everything on there is true.
It's
just like all those videos.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back to RBM Black Book number 2. I've been joined here with Joey and Chris, as always, and I've been invited to this episode, so I'm super excited to go ahead and get into this. Our topic tonight being ghosts. I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Chris, let him kind of get this episode started for us, get you all the info you need, and then we'll dive right in.
Yeah, I don't think we actually invited him. I think he just like stuck around.
He did. He just peeked his head in.
I did. They didn't tell me about this. I just showed up.
Well, first I want to tell everybody right now, we want to build this community up. I know we have a lot of people out there that love what we do. We want to build this community. If right now, go out, look for us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We just started a TikTok. Look up The Rise of Basic Men and like, subscribe, follow, do everything you can, comment on all of our stuff. That way we can interact with you guys, interact with more people, and spread our word more. But with that, we'll jump right in. We're talking about ghosts today, guys.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'm excited.
Are you guys feeling spooky?
Boo.
Well, first, I want to talk about what are ghosts. What do you guys think when you think of a ghost? Like, what is a ghost to you, David?
Ghosts to me, I mean, never seen a physical thing, but ghosts could be somebody shutting doors when they're not supposed to be shut, things moving, electronics acting weirdly. This is where my personal experiences come from.
Okay.
That's what I kind of put on for ghosts.
So do you think it's like somebody that's dead, or what do you?
That's a little tougher. I mean, we'll get into why a little later in this episode, but it could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be an EMP pulse for all I fucking know.
Right.
But
what do you think, Joey?
I've never had experiences myself, but what I like to think is, because there's this thing with energy, right? Like all around us, vibrations. There's things that dogs can hear that we can't. What's to say it's not something, maybe it's beyond my thought process, but if there is something out there, I know everyone wants to go towards, it's the soul. It's somebody that hasn't moved on. And maybe that is the case. Maybe there is some religious factor to that, but I don't know. I really don't.
Gotcha. Well, let me tell you what I think. And it's going to be way out there.
Oh, I'm excited.
As you guys normally know, I always go the furthest out because it's the most fun. What I think it is, I think it's interdimensional beings that are phasing in and out of our dimension, just fucking with us.
So you think it's a real, quote unquote, person that's alive from a different dimension that is somehow getting into a different other dimension, our dimension.
Yeah.
And moving things or shutting doors or
maybe they don't even know that they're doing it and they're just living their normal life and they're phasing in and out of what we're experiencing.
Interesting. Okay. So I know it's more than just a little quick-witted answer on something. So I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on this. So I'll pass it back over to you. Where do you want to begin with this?
Well, I think the first thing that we should probably talk about is our own personal stories or stories that you've heard from other people. I'll start off with mine. I got a couple. Right.
Well, don't steal mine because we live together at the same time. Because I only got the one.
I'll let you get that one,
dude. I'm like chomping on popcorn right now. Like, oh God.
Yeah. So I've always been very open to a lot of this, supernatural stuff, paranormal kind of stuff. Right. We did the UFO episode. I'm very open to that. We talked about that in depth, and we'll do that another one down the road. Ghosts. I've had plenty of experience with those. So I lived in a house. We called it the Hoffman House, right? That's just what we called it. That just
sounds scary.
Yeah, right.
The Hoffman House.
Yeah, right. It's just like the like in the movies, right? So in this house, I remember when I moved in there, the guy that lived in the room, I lived in the master bedroom, and the guy that lived in the master bedroom, he would tell me, he was like, so it's haunted. It's haunted. I'm like, whatever, man. Sure.
What does this guy look like? Is this the typical like horror movie guy that's like, don't go in there? He's like the yardsman, you know? Like
This was Michael, right?
I don't remember his name. He was one of your brother's friends. We'll just say that worked with him at the golf course.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Anyways, so he's like, yeah, it's haunted. You'll see some stuff. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever, man. So after living there for a little bit, I started noticing like my pictures on the wall were askew. I'm like, whatever, maybe that's just whatever.
that happens though.
Yeah, that happens, right?
Yeah, we partied at the house quite a bit.
Yeah, that was definitely the party house. There was like maybe one night a week where nothing was going on. So back then it was a lot of fun, but like if that were to happen now, whoa. Anyways, so, you know, I first initially started seeing like the pictures being askew and stuff like that. Then we would be sitting downstairs in the living room watching TV, and directly above us was my room, was the master bedroom. And you would hear steps, people stepping up there. I'm like, what the hell is that? And you would hear somebody walking, and it would sound like somebody's walking from the front door to my room into the bathroom and then out back through the front door. I was like, man, that's so weird.
Is it like creaking or just the?
It's like the thud.
It's like
the
the
thud.
thud and the creaking of the steps.
Yeah, it's just like you would hear this, like if anybody can hear it. Like that, just like going above you. And you're like, whoa, what is that? So as time goes on, I'm like, okay, that's just weird. Whatever. I can live with that.
But you heard it move.
Yeah.
It's not in one spot. You heard it like.
Yeah, you hear it physically move from the door and around to where my bed is, and then into the bathroom, and then
so that's a
go back
second.
the same way.
That's a second floor.
The ghost had to pee.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what those are the first things that really happened. So as time goes on, it gets worse and worse. I remember waking up one time with my sheets being pulled off of me. Okay. Chilling.
And you were sober?
I was sober, yes. Sheets being pulled off of me, like, what the hell? Holy shit, this is happening.
There's no girl. There's no like.
No. I slept alone a lot. So yeah, I sheets being pulled off of me, that was fucking weird. I've also had, instead of the pictures being askewed, I've seen them fly off my wall.
You saw them.
Yes.
How far did they go? Did it just fall or fly?
No, they went like a couple feet, like I'll say like 2 or 3 feet from the wall. So it's not like it just like fell down to the ground. I saw them projectile off and then fall. So I see this happen. Yes. So when I tell you I've had experiences with stuff, I've had experiences.
How long
with
ago
stuff.
was this?
This was right after I moved back from Albuquerque. So I was like probably 27, 28.
So what year is this? Like how?
10 years ago. 10
years ago?
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably
something like that.
2013, 2014, something like that.
Because I think I was at Bella Vista at that time.
Yeah, I know. And I lived there for like 4 years. I lived there for 3 years.
damn.
Yeah, I lived there for a long time. Fun fact.
Where does time go?
Yeah, I know. Fun fact, I lived with 4 women at one point, and I was the only guy in that house. Fun times. And this kind of goes into the story.
So your covers were being taken off. You weren't thinking one of these girls.
No.
Okay.
Anyways, so that kind of goes into what I'm talking about, right? Living with the 4 women, because they never really had any experiences. I was the only one, and it was only in my room that was having these experiences. One of the other things that I heard is that this ghost was really just against men, right? So the reason I say that is our friend who lived like literally across the hall from me, her boyfriend would stay with her, and he would hear her name being whispered.
What?
Yeah, hear her name being whispered. She couldn't hear it, but he could. And then I started thinking about that. I was like, man, I think I've heard that too, but not necessarily like for real, but like I think I have, but I'm not 100% sure. But he said he's definitely heard that, and there's nobody there in the house with them at the time, right?
How frequent are you experiencing these things?
Dude, it got so bad. So one night I woke up and I felt like burning on my arm.
Upside down cross?
I felt burning on my arm, and I had a long scratch. Not like me like scratching myself. I had a long scratch on my arm.
Was it like scab worthy or just a red mark?
It was like a red mark, and it stayed there for a little while. Actually, I think I still have a little scar from it right here. Right there. And if anybody can like,
it's a faint.
If you guys
mark.
can see
You guys
this
can't
through
see
the
it,
radio,
obviously, but I do have a little mark right there. And that was from that night. I woke up and that really freaked me out because the other stuff, whatever. Oh, you're walking around. Oh, you're messing with my pictures, whatever. Right.
Did you feel pain and look and you saw it like grow, or was it just there?
No, it was just there in the morning, or like when I woke up.
When you
and
woke
I felt
up.
it. I felt it burning. I was like, "What the hell is this?" And then that's when I was like, I called my mom. I'm like, "Mom, what is going on? This shit is happening." And my mom's very religious. She's Catholic and everything like that.
Sure.
She goes, "Come over. I'm going to give you a cross, a crucifix to put above your door." And it's one that I had when I was a kid. So I put it above my door and she gave me holy water. She goes, "I want you to go around in the four corners and put the holy water around."
It was just like Aquafina or something. Like, God damn it, Mom.
And
no, it'd have been life water.
Yeah, it was life water.
so the crazy thing is that actually worked, because after that, nothing really happened, except there's one time where the ghost reacted with one of my roommates. One of my roommates was sitting down. The other three of us were out of town. She was at the house by herself, and she had this little dog with her, or she owned a little dog. And so her and the dog were sitting downstairs watching TV. And from the couch, you can actually look right at where the staircase is, right? It's kind of a wraparound staircase. So you can see the second level of the stairs. And she's sitting there watching TV. The dog starts freaking out and barking and growling towards the stairs, like sitting on her lap, but like facing over there, like growling and
Dude,
barking.
I got chills.
She looks over and she sees eyeshine on the stairs.
The human.
Like
Not the dog.
like eyes, like shining eyes on the stairs. She freaks out and leaves. She's like, "I can't stay here."
Was the door, did you have to go?
This is someone that's not living there. That's just
No, she lived there. No, she lived there. So she had to leave that night. Like, she's like, "I can't stay here."
Did she
by
have to
myself.
go towards
start with
those
a C.
eyes?
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
she
trying
had
to
to run
I'm trying to
past
figure
it.
out the dog and the person. Reese.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to say names,
Yeah.
So-
No, I get you. That's why dog name.
Yeah. So she had to run out and leave that night, right? At least this is the story she told me. And so that's like some of the craziest stories I've had. I've had other ones, but like living in that house, we had no idea why this ghost was there. We all had our theories, Somebody brought him in with a Ouija board, which happens, people bring these unwanted spirits through a Ouija board, or something crazy happened in the house before we lived there. The ghost stayed, and there was maybe a girl that got murdered by a guy, and that's why she hates dudes or something.
Did you guys ever think about bringing some witch doctor in to, like, bless the house,
Do
or
a
I don't know?
seance or something like that?
Was there any, like, obviously, did the girls believe y'all?
Well, yeah, because they would hear the footsteps.
Okay.
They would hear that, but like the other stuff, they didn't really.
Yeah, beyond the footsteps, they'd never experienced other stuff, but they believed everything that was going on.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe they have their own stories too. Maybe I'm just like seeing it from one side, but that's what what happened to me. I mean, I've had other stuff too at the same house, like laying down in my bed and feeling the mattress or the comforter just like pressing down on me, which is another thing that ghosts do. Like they press down and put weight on you. Yeah, man, that was a crazy time, man. It was
Interesting.
nuts, man.
So you think, based on how you started here, you think an interdimensional
Why not?
being was anti-man messing with y'all?
That, or they could not have even like known we were there, right? So if it's an interdimensional being and they're just like living their life, we're going to hear their footsteps upstairs, right?
Sure.
Or we're going to see, or maybe they're getting into their own bed and they're pulling the covers and it's just like pulling
there's
my
a
covers
house
too.
Is
there.
this like this
Right.
is they're living in the same place you are, but in a separate dimension?
Right. Yeah. And it just
But
kind of bleeds over.
occasionally it bleeds over, and you share the same comforter for a second while they're hopping into bed or
Yeah.
walking to the bathroom.
That's so. I mean, I believe in a lot of the stuff, right? But that's like the most far out that I love to like think about because it's cool, right?
You're not wrong. I feel like more as science progresses, I mean, we talked about UFOs and everything else, interdimensional, especially how you hear interdimensional and you have your own idea of what that means, but there's some science to it. And how that works out. And just a different understanding of it in general. There's some stories that I've actually heard. Like I said, I've never experienced things myself, but some of these are very frightening a little bit, makes you think, right? There was a guy, a friend of mine who I was in the military with, and he was telling me this story, and his grandma. So it was his grandma in the story. It's his sister in the story, and it's his sister's daughter. Okay. Well, his sister's daughter, she's young, maybe like 5 or, just a toddler type child, but she would, like any other kid, she'd talk to herself, imaginary friends, whatever. And she would be in the closet talking to whoever. And one day they decided to ask her about this because she would be like getting angry in there. Like, hey, no. Well, they asked her, hey, so who are you talking to in there? She goes, oh, there's just some people in there. They're just people. Are they nice or are they mean? She's like, well, a lot of them are nice, but some of them are mean. Well, what do you do if they're mean? I just tell them to go away, right? It's like, oh, well, what about the mean part? Like, do they have names? And she goes, yeah, his name is Mr. Pencils.
So creepy.
Coming from a kid, it's very creepy.
Yeah.
The same kid, same family, kind of the same story here. That kid was out in the front yard at grandma's house, and they have a little tree out front. I think it was like a pine tree, right? And she's talking to this stranger who's wearing a hat, wearing this long trench coat, all black. Can't really make out any details. And the mom, so my friend's sister, sees her outside talking to the stranger. Naturally, she gets very upset and worried. So she screams out, hey, get over here, get inside. Stop talking to that man. And the grandma goes to the daughter or the mother of the child and says, you used to talk to that same man by that tree.
Ooh, I got chills.
It's not a real person. Like, it's not what you think is a real person. The last piece of the story is the grandma, her husband died. So my friend's grandpa passed away. The next morning, because they're staying with them, or they showed up, whatever it was, but they noticed all the furniture was rearranged. This lady lives by herself. She is old. She's not strong. And there's like big couch, entertainment center, ottoman, whatever, all rearranged. And they were frightened when they saw this. They go, Grandma, like, what is that? What happened? Right? Her husband used to be very joking around, prankster style, right, type of person. And she believes that it's him doing that. And it happens frequently, and she's okay with it.
Wow.
That's insane.
That's scary, dude.
It's so weird.
It's kind of, that's a love story.
Yeah, that's sweet, but like, that's still terrifying.
But what's Mr. Pencils? What's the guy by the tree, right? Like, if you think the rearranging of the furniture and you're okay with that is your husband, cool. But like, who's this guy that keeps talking to your children growing up? And then who's Mr. Pencils?
Well, that's the thing, right? So with children are born and they're fully open to everything, right? And as you get older, you kind of close up in your ideals and what you believe and everything like that. So that's why children they have so many experiences like that, and they don't really get scared. They're just like, oh yeah, somebody's there trying to talk to me.
Yeah, it's just Mr. Pencils.
Yeah,
it's just kind of a dick.
That name in general is just scary.
That is a scary name. Yeah,
Mr. Pencils.
Oof. Make a whole horror movie about that David won't watch.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, like kids having imaginary friends is so terrifying. I remember my sister had an imaginary friend, That was like, I don't know. I think back on that. I'm like, oh, that's so scary. You know what I mean? It's so weird.
Well, at first you go, it's nothing, because you don't think that immediately that it's some poltergeist or a spirit or something bad. You go, they're just experiencing life. They're growing up. They're children, you know, and you think that's normal. But it's the things that you don't know. And when it becomes real with the stories, like when the children start saying things, as an adult, that's when you're like, oh my God.
I think a lot of that comes down to like context of how we've lived our lives and what we know. And we go like, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Because there's nobody standing there. And they're like, yeah, there is. You can't see Mr. Pencils. He's right there.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, I'm gonna burn this house down, and we're just gonna move down the street now.
And then they follow you, you know.
And they're like, all right, cool. I'll let Mr. Pencils know. Dude. Like, oh shit.
What about you, David? You said you might have had some experiences. What's some of your stories here that you've had?
Yeah, so I mean, me and Chris lived together, and I don't know how many of these same experiences you experienced with me, but I assume probably a lot of them.
Yeah.
So we lived in this apartment complex in South Austin, built basically on top of a cemetery.
Yeah, the cemetery was like in between the buildings. It was weird.
To get to the far building, we had to cross the cemetery to get there. So it was kind of one of those things where like, this is a little weird, but whatever. It's affordable, and we were broke as shit.
Back then, the rent was $650 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
I thought it was $695, but $650 sounds
still
better.
For anyone that doesn't know the comparison here, nowadays in Austin, it's probably like $2,000.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been like $2,400.
Yeah,
that was a good size apartment. That was a nice apartment.
Yeah. Anyways, go ahead. Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll start off with the basic stuff. Would be you could walk over to the hallway, look down at anyone's door, either my door, Chris's door, the bathroom door, maybe the laundry doors, and the doors just be sitting there, wide open. And you just kind of look over, and the door would be like, it wouldn't be like a closed. It'd be like a what?
A slam.
Just be like, oh, okay. So that's where you're going. Like, no. Like the AC kicked on. I'm like,
that's what I was gonna ask.
But that was a little quick for the AC. This isn't just like AC slam is like a door slowly shutting. This was like someone standing behind that door and going, "Fuck you, what?"
Right.
Would this be a frequent thing then?
Yeah, I mean, I could probably count on hands
like
and
once
toes.
A month or like once a week?
Oh, I mean, this probably happened 20, 30 times.
Yeah, probably once or
in a
twice.
year.
We were there for what, 1 year?
Yeah, 1 year.
So yeah, about 20, 30 times. So a couple times a month. And so that was one of the things. And like to me, I was never scared of it. It didn't bother me. I was just like,
AC kicked
all right,
in.
well, somebody else is here. And no, I always assumed, I'm like, something else is going on here that we're not privy to. But I never felt aggression from any of the things that were happening.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I don't know if this would maybe bring up too much, but did you ever think that it was your dad? Because this was after your dad had passed. Did that ever go through your mind?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Because that's not something he would. If he was going to do something, it'd be like tie your shoes together.
Yeah.
Like he's going to fuck with you. He's not going to be doing that shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus my dad.
None of that weak ass shutting door shit.
Yeah. Like, no. But you come down. So that was one of the big things that happened at that apartment. You get some flickering lights here and there where, you'd swap out a bulb and you'd be like, oh, bulb's out. And then you touch the bulb. It's like, oh, okay, it's back on. Yeah. And then it'd be like, oh, is it out or on?
Yeah.
What is happening here?
Trying to communicate,
Yeah. So I felt like a lot of that stuff happened, but my favorite was, what was it? It was 2:32 a.m. every morning. And we were young and we were up at 2:32 every morning watching TV, watching movies. And the TV would every single night flash blue and was it blue and I think it was like blue and snow or blue and black.
Yeah.
And do it for about 10 seconds and then shut off.
Completely.
Was it not like a timer?
No, it wasn't. There was no timer. This was tube TV. Maybe maybe it had a timer built in. I don't know how to work. That's like working a VCR. Nobody knows how to
That's
set
weird.
that clock.
Yeah.
You see
So
that
do
sometimes
it every morning.
You see that sometimes
Or
in like movies, right? Like where something happens at that exact time.
Yeah.
There's some timing to things
I
happening.
think it's like 2:22 or 3:33 is like the witching hour. That's where most of the activity will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the activity was, but we would be sitting there every day. And it got to the point where it'd just be like, ugh. All right, someone go get the remote so we can turn the fucking TV back on. Well, because you'd have to get up and turn the TV back on to get back to, and then you have to like restart the DVD player, get back to where you're at in the movie because it's back, you know, in our old days when Netflix wasn't
early 2000s. It was like like 2005, 2006, I think. The other thing too is we had a buddy of ours who was living with us on the couch, and he was really into video games, and it would happen to him while he's like in the middle of playing video games at night.
This is one of the first Call of Duty games that came out, and he would have the same issue. He would tell people online, he's like, hey guys, it's about to be 2:32. Something's going to happen here. And when I get kicked out, just send me, as soon as you see me kicked out, just send me an invite back to the group, and then I'll come right back in.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know, man. It happens every day. I've got to deal with it.
Yeah, it was that apartment was kind of crazy. Yeah, I remember those happenstances happening. You know,
and
it's kind of crazy.
You would just be sitting there watching TV. You hear doors. You know, you can always explain a door slamming from someone else's unit.
Yeah,
but like the one thing is, we had our buddy shared a wall. I was in the master at the time. The rooms were basically the same size.
It's like a foot bigger.
But yeah, it was 1 foot bigger. But my bathroom was attached, and his was in a little hallway.
Peasant.
And, yeah. And so my wall shared a wall with our buddy Ken. And he, you know, after a while we'd be like, hey man, do you have these things? He's like, oh fuck, it's not just me. And I was like,
oh, so it's multiple units.
Yeah. So this is not just our unit. He was having the same thing. Our buddy Eric lived there as well. Yeah. Same kind of deal. I don't think his was extensive. He had a few instances where he was like, well, that was weird, but I mean, back in those days, I mean, he wasn't paying much attention to any of that shit. He wasn't
malicious or anything like that.
No.
So, yeah.
And never had the feeling of maliciousness or anything like that. It was just kind of like, to me, I was kind of like, well, this is kind of interesting. I kind of want to, and you know, there were times where you'd sit there on the couch and be like, looking around the room like, am I alone here?
Right. Am I being watched?
Yeah. And then you hear Chris from the other room. He's like, no.
If I furiously masturbate, is somebody watching me right now?
Chris has his foil hat on, just waiting. You mentioned apartments, and I got another story. Again, my stories are through people that I've met throughout my life.
So you've never had anything?
I've never. And I remember when I was younger, I was like, I want to experience, you know, like, come on. But then I learned, like, be careful what you ask for. Because you think you want this experience that nothing happens to you, but you kind of like think it proves maybe that something is out there or whatever, but you might be asking for something much more that you're unaware of. But this story goes like this. Back in small town Iowa, where I'm from, this person that I know, they lived in this little complex. I don't know if it was like a 2 or 4 or multi, person unit complex, but it was a stormy night.
Ooh, set in the mood.
I know. And it was this person and her friend. They were drinking wine, a stormy night. Let's drink wine. Let's have a good night. Well, their neighbor who lived upstairs was sleeping, and he woke up, and there was a person at the foot of the bed in his unit, at the foot of his bed, staring at him, not doing a thing, but holding a box. Now,
what's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
So, of course, he's like, the person's real. There's no ghost features, no nothing. But he's like, get the hell out of my house. Like, what are you doing? Like, he's frightened. He's pissed, right? He's like, what are you doing in here? Get out. And I don't know how the transition between this, but the guy just ended up not being there. I don't know if he ran out of the room when he woke up and then the guy wasn't there. But either way, he woke up with this gentleman at the foot of the bed, staring at him, holding this box. Okay. So this this guy, the apartment, renter, went down to his neighbors, my friends, said, hey, knocked on the door. They opened the door. Hey, can I come in? I just had a weird experience. There's some guy in my room, and he's not there anymore, but can I hang with you guys?
Did they know him before?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's even scarier.
So
That'd be way
that's the
weirder.
scary part.
Some random person coming up like, hey, can I stay in your house? Somebody was just in mine.
So can I come in yours?
Seems like you got some bad juju here.
Little domino
stay
effect.
outside.
So they have their night, right? Of course, they're like, telling the story and having a good time, whatever, just trying to get through it. And I don't know if it was the next morning or the next day or maybe a week, but it was recent after that experience. They're all hanging out again, talking about it, and they decided to kind of look through the apartment. And they found this door in the property that they were all at that led downstairs. In Iowa, there's basements, okay? Texas, there's not, so I have to explain that.
What's a basement?
What's a basement? So they go down there. They found out that this place, at least the downstairs, used to be a morgue.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow.
And that guy spotted the same box in the corner. Everything is run down in here. Obviously, like cobwebs, it's not used anymore, but they know this used to be a mortuary, a morgue, whatever. And a box was right there that looked like the same box that had something in it, like remains, dust, something. And that's fucking scary.
That is truly
That's
scary.
creepy.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, finding out you live on top of a morgue
yeah.
or a mortuary or
They looked it up
whatever.
and found out Mr. Pencils used to.
We found his origin story.
We found it. The Genesis.
Mr. Pencils, Jeff Goldberg.
Well, so I forgot to tell you guys this. So I actually had another experience at work, and this happened last week.
What
You
the
have
fuck?
No way.
Yeah.
At work of all places.
Yeah. It was so weird, man. So I'm sitting there at my desk. I was talking to my detailer. I work in rental cars. So I was sitting there talking to my detailer, and behind her, we have two doors. One door was completely shut. Our other door always stays open. One door is completely shut, and it's latched and everything like that. And so we're sitting there just chit-chatting, BS, and she's a Raiders fan. I'm a Niners fan, and the Raiders beat us in the preseason, so she was giving me shit. And next thing I see, and I'm facing her, and the door's behind her, the door just opens on its own. Just opens up.
Is it an automated door?
No, it was latched closed, and the only way to open this is to turn the handle and open it. And
Did it open towards you or into the room?
Open towards us. And I'm staring at it.
How far did it open? Did it just unlatch or did it open?
It opened probably not like just open, but it opened like a good amount. Not all the way open.
What is that?
Like I would say maybe 6
inches?
inches. I would say like 6-7 inches, something like that. Like it opened on its own.
Yeah, it's
Right?
probably just the AC.
No, it was fully closed.
Do you know it was fully closed?
Yes, because I close it every morning because it's in the way if it's open. And
Is it one of those heavy doors?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
did it latch?
Guys, will you just listen?
Ghost.
So I look at her and I'm like, that door just opened. She goes, oh, it's just the ghost that lives here. I'm like, huh? Tell me more. Because she used to work at this private airport that we were at before coming to work for me. She worked there for years as like the overnight like janitor. She would clean the house or clean the house. She would clean the airport. And she was like, yeah, I used to work, 12 a.m. to 7 a.m. And I'd be here by myself and
The
one other person.
graveyard shift.
Yeah, the literal graveyard shift. And she's like, yeah, I'd be up there in the upstairs offices and doors would open on their own and stuff like that. She was like, oh yeah, hey, how's it going, ghost? Da, da, da. It's like just completely like just positive energy, just saying hi and stuff
Doesn't
like that.
care about it. She's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
whatever.
It's like she's just like, oh, you're just there. Cool. And she's like, yeah, in this corner where my desk is where a lot of this activity would happen there and then above in the second floor. And she was like, yeah, it just happens all the time. I'm like, did somebody die here? Like what happened? And she's like, no, nobody's really died. I think it's probably some guy from a long time ago when they were redoing and building all the hangars and all this kind of stuff. A lot more stuff happened because I think he was angry. And she's like telling me all this stuff. And I'm like, but the door just opened on its own right behind you. What the? I was like still like freaking out about that. It was such a weird thing.
I have to, you kind of, the light bulb went in my, turned on in my head here. Do you think it's always some old house, with some old person from some time period owning some ghost, ownership over some property?
It kind of seems that way, right? That's all you ever hear. You don't hear any new age ghosts.
What do you think? What do you think a new age ghost would do?
I mean, vape smoke just out of nowhere.
You just smell like pina colada.
Strawberry watermelon.
Some lip smackers.
Yeah.
Strawberry lip smackers.
The TV turns on to reality shows,
Jersey Shore
just pops on.
Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
You just hear complaining all the time. Oh, God.
It's like, I see you're watching V for Vendetta.
Again.
How about Jersey Shore?
Like you always hear that though. Like, why is that the case? And maybe we associate an old raggedy building with an old person, and because we assume it's a story of a person that died here or something. But to your point, interdimensional, maybe it's not that.
Right.
Well, I'd like to jump in on that one because maybe it's just the newer age ghosts, the vapors, and this is Britney bitch ghosts haven't figured out how to manipulate their surroundings.
Dubstep turns on the radio. Blah, blah. Skrillex.
Yeah. But no, maybe it takes. Maybe if you're a ghost, you're there for a couple hundred years. We don't know what that is yet. Maybe it takes 50, 60, 100 years to figure out, like, all right, I want to scare this motherfucker out of my goddamn house.
Yeah. You gotta
How do I move that door? And it takes you a good amount of time to be like, and the door moves 3 inches. You're like, got him.
Yeah.
He's going to be scared. And the person's like,
You're just let down as a ghost all the time because it takes so much to build up the energy and learn how to like open a door, and then someone's like, "Yeah, okay,
probably the AC."
like, no.
I got two things here. So one, what you're talking about. Have you ever seen that movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Whoopi Goldberg and
Demi
Moore?
Probably. Yeah. I know what you're talking about, but
they talk about that like
the pottery scene, or when he learns in the subway how to move a can.
Well, yeah, he has to learn how to do it, right?
Yeah,
maybe that's what you're talking about, Second thing was, oh my God, I already forgot what it was. Dang it.
Must have been important.
So one thing.
Yeah, the one thing then. But yeah, like that's the thought is like they have to learn about it. Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
Well, here's a question for both of you guys. I know I asked the question, what do you think a modern ghost would do? What if you guys were ghost? What would you do?
I'd probably shut doors.
Dude, we just talked about how basic that is.
Slightly askew photos on the wall.
Slightly askew photo. I'd brighten my eyes
just to piss someone off just a little bit where they didn't know I was there, but they'd be like, God, why does this fucking picture keep getting off cue or off center?
Just haunt somebody that has OCD and just like fuck with them.
That's the fucking dream right there.
I don't know. What would you do?
What would you do, Chris?
I mean, I would probably, I don't know. I probably wouldn't really fuck with anything. I'm not really somebody that fucks with people.
You're dead.
So saying
you're pissed.
That, how many ghosts are around us right now that are just like sitting here watching the show and just be like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're watching and you have the ability, like and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
If you learn the ability after 500
have the energy
years.
to do that, do it.
Yeah, light up our board. Here, I'll turn mic 4 on.
Oh, God. What if we hear someone in that mic? Oh, God.
Or like make the lights flicker. That'd be cool. But
I feel
nothing
like
happened, guys.
I feel like I would take things too far. I'd be that ghost that like you guys are talking about that might like mess with you. Like I would be the one who removes your sheets, Chris. And
you'd be the horror story ghost.
I would be.
But
I'd
you'd
be
be back there like,
yeah.
fucking
I would
idiot.
learn to laugh really bad. And like scary.
Yeah.
Scary laugh.
I remember the second thing, which that I was going to say before that I forgot. And it actually goes with what we're talking about right now. So I saw this, it was like one of those skit videos on YouTube or something like that. And it was like a prank show for ghosts. Like the ghosts are running pranks on people in a house. And they're
Wait a minute. So the ghosts have a deal with the TV?
yeah, they have their own like ghost TV.
Yeah, okay.
And they're pranking these people like, oh, I'm gonna mess with his hair, and they like mess with their hair, and the guy's like, what the hell was that? You know, and they're like, they were ghost hunters going into a house, and like they were trying to like fuck with them. Dude, it was so funny. Oh my god.
Wait, but these are
Maybe
not,
that would be something.
This
I would
isn't
do,
like this is like fake TV, but
it's fake TV.
Yeah.
So these aren't real ghosts.
no.
it's-
NBC is not hiring real ghosts.
Joey.
What do you pay a ghost with?
Monopoly
soul.
money.
Your soul.
We went way different on that one.
Yeah. So you talking about shows, growing up, there's a haunted shows, like 10 most haunted places in America.
Oh yeah.
Well, back in Iowa, there's a place called Villisca, a little town, and they always show up on the top places that are haunted.
Cool.
On not just the top 10, but it's like the top 3 of that top 10. And this happened in early 1900s, so like 1912. And there was a family of 6. So 2 parents, 4 children, and there was 2 other guests sleeping in the house. There was a gentleman in the attic. Is that? Yeah.
Attic?
I thought I said that weird. That's weird.
ATTIC.
Yeah. And he
Look at
came
you
down.
who can spell.
Addict. He came down and murdered everybody. All 8
Yikes.
kids, adults, and they have not found the person yet. And you can go to the Villisca Axe Murder House, is what they call it, and you can stay there at any time, especially during Halloween.
Oh my gosh.
And it still today rates as one of the highest haunted, weirdest spots in America.
This sounds like an RBM adventure that we need to go on.
I would totally be down for that. I'd love to hear David scream like,
I mean, ghosts don't scare me though.
what does scare you?
I don't know.
Sleeping 8 hours.
yeah, apparently.
Math,
Algebra,
complicated math,
geometry.
Spelling.
That doesn't scare me. I have no problem not being able to spell.
So you admit that you can't spell.
Oh yeah. Openly. That's why I like the Google chat, because I can go back and edit.
Okay.
Because I cannot bring myself to proofread jack shit before I send it.
I mean,
Yeah. But so let me ask you guys this. Do you guys watch any of those like ghost shows that are on like Travel Channel, which doesn't do any travel?
Yeah, absolutely.
you know,
Ghost hunters.
I'll say no, but I'm not a big TV guy. Like I'll watch specific things, but not like cable type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I go to my parents' house to like hang out, like literally all we watch are ghost shows. With my dad watches ghost shows or paranormal caught on camera. It's all ghost stuff, and then also my UFO stuff too. But like that, my dad is so far into that stuff, and that's kind of where I got my want and to know more about it. One of the coolest things that I remember seeing are the Ed and Lorraine. What's the last name?
Warren,
Yeah, the Ed and Lorraine Warren stories, man. Those things are
The Conjuring.
The Conjuring. Yeah, they made movies about it, man. They have some insanely scary stories. There's one picture that they have where it's literally you see a kid like poking his head out and just like staring at the camera. It's like you see it and you're just like. Like you feel the chills and your body tenses up. It's so scary. I mean, those movies are insane too. I know David doesn't watch scary movies, but I think you have, right?
Yeah, they do a really good job with the sound, the story, setting it up in general. And of course, with most movies or shows, when they say it's based off a real story or real events or the people are still alive and you look them up, it just hits harder. Even if it's not true, like the Blair Witch, they're like, this is real. It hits with people that want to believe or they think that could be something.
Yeah.
Right? Those are some pretty crazy movies. Why don't you watch them, David? Like, are you not just a big horror fan at all?
No, they bring me zero enjoyment.
Besides enjoyment, do they scare you a lot and that's why you don't like it?
Does it give you nightmares?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I mean, they're usually not super scary, and they're usually, no, they don't give me nightmare anymore.
anymore.
They used to when I was a kid, but no, I just it's not the type of movie I like to watch. I don't. It brings me anxiety, not enjoyment and fulfillment. So I just don't watch them.
Well, let me ask you guys this real quick. I know this is kind of off topic because we're talking about ghosts, but I'm just curious if we're talking about scary movies real quick. What was like the first scary
Exorcist.
movie? Yeah. That was like the first movie that like, gave you fucking nightmares and you couldn't.
Exorcist.
Really?
That was the first one that I willingly watched like that on on TV. That one is still hits, I think. Like most of the movie just hits. It's scary. But in theaters, it was Blair Witch. That thing was so real. I remember me and my brother went to go see it, and we came back home, and no one was at home. We both stayed in the living room with the lights on, waiting until our family came home. and I remember that I went. We had separate beds, right? I was upstairs, brother was downstairs, and I remember my mom being like, "So Zach's gonna stay with you, okay?" And he stayed in my room because I was scared, but I didn't say anything. But he was, and so we stayed the night together. But for maybe 30 minutes, we were in the living room with the light on, not saying a word. We were just scared. We didn't want to move in our house.
David, you got one?
I mean, if I think back, the first movie that freaked me out, and this is going to sound really, really macho.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I would have to say, I think it was probably like Gremlins.
Really?
Yeah, that movie freaked me
you
out
out?
as a kid.
Really?
When it was like, oh, this is oh my God. Just like, the fuck just happened? They just spill some water on these things, they become demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's gotta be something like that.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, I remember specifically, I was at my tia's house, my aunt's house, and it was me and a bunch of my cousins, and somebody puts in Child's Play.
Oh my
dude,
God.
For me, those don't do anything.
No.
Dude, I
the
was like-
first one,
I was like 7 or 8 years old when I saw that.
the first and second one,
I
mostly
saw
the
the second.
first is like, oh my God.
It's so scary. And I remember going home, I was like, back then when you're that young, you're like thinking like, things have lives. You know what I mean?
Dolls and
dolls and
action
stuff like that. And then you
figures.
just saw a doll murdering a bunch of people. Like, oh my God, that scared the living crap out of me. I couldn't sleep for weeks.
oh my God.
And then-
Charles Lee Ray.
Yeah. So, and then another one.
Due, Dumbella. Give me the power.
I haven't watched it since, to be honest
The
with you, man.
Jurassic Park movies.
Oh
Okay,
my God,
David.
So
You're
mine, so mine were never like the horror movies never scare me because those are always jump scares.
What
And
does scare you?
it was like the real life, like the drama type movies where it's like, oh, dinosaurs are real. And I'd be like, okay. And then I would dream like dinosaurs are real. You're now being chased by a fucking raptor.
Some more thrillers than horrors.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the ones that always brought me issues. The Chuckies, things like that. It was like I get scared in the moment, but not scared for
Long term.
extended periods of
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Like those, I could go to sleep and be like, that was a stupid doll that just popped out of the corner of the screen, scared the.
Well, you're
piss
talking
out of
about
me.
dreams. I remember first watching, what was the zombie show? Daryl,
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead.
Yeah.
When that first came on, I could not stop dreaming about zombies and running away and trying surviving. And that was horrible. You're talking about watching stuff and dreaming about it frequently. That was horrible.
When I quit smoking weed, this is 7 years ago.
48 hours ago.
That's what I was going to say.
48 minutes
Hey,
ago
I said when I quit. I didn't say I'm.
when I stopped.
We'll just stop right there. But when I first quit smoking weed, your dreams you don't realize that suppresses your dreams a little bit. They're not as
vivid.
intense or anything like that. So
Yeah.
when I quit smoking, my dreams got super, super intense. And that was when Walking Dead was in like season 5 when everybody was involved. And every night, every single dream was like, I'm in a building on stilts,
Yeah.
like in Port Aransas or something, like a building on the beach on stilts. And there are zombies and they're like World War Z zombies, not fucking Walking Dead.
Sprinting.
Like, they're fucking sprinting, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get to the ladder. It's just like running up a ladder and like trying to pull up a ladder, and then your arms don't work. You're like, why can't I pull up this 3-pound ladder? What is happening? And that was 3-4 weeks of that.
Yeah.
So I know that one. That one
I'll say this though, is those dreams, I know people are like, they wake up in a sweat and they just can't get over it. I kind of enjoy the realistic. Like, yeah, I'm frightened in the moment, but I know it's a dream, especially when I wake up. When you wake up from that, you're like, okay. I look back on that, I'm like, oh my God, that was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that same experience, but I get it, I guess. I wake up and go, fuck, is that real?
You go run 9 miles and you're good, you know?
I to kind of get back to the ghost side of things, right? The movie that got me scared as shit when I was more of an adult was Paranormal Activity. Do you remember that movie?
That still freaks me out.
Because that was another one where they're like,
because that was like shot like security cameras and stuff like
and they
that.
made it
Same thing as the Blair Witch, right? Like the whole like realistic recording of
and they even said in the beginning, this is true events, this is found footage, just like Blair Witch, even though it wasn't. But that's how they started it. And man, I remember watching that and just like freaking the fuck out. But yeah, man, ghosts. They can go pretty freaky sometimes. You know what I mean? They can go nuts.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, paranormal was crazy. Like it starts off normal and you start seeing some, red flags come up. They start recording because of that. They invite people over. Next thing you know, they're getting dragged out of bed.
Right.
And it ends horribly. Well, let me ask you this. Back on the, the ghost topic here.
Right, yeah.
Is from your guys' point of view, why do you think we become ghosts? Why do you think whenever you die that there are these ghosts? I know, Chris, you mentioned interdimensional beings.
Yeah.
David, why do you think there's ghosts?
I mean, I'd have to guess that there's something unaccomplished that needs to be sorted out before.
Unfinished business.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They got to figure something out while they're here to be able to go to wherever the next place is.
Right.
And so they're here for as long as that takes. Could be a couple hundred years. I mean, who fucking knows?
Right.
But that's I got to assume that's what it is.
So one thing that I think, other than interdimensional beings, would be, I think, if somebody dies in a quick fashion where they don't know they're dead, you know what I mean? And they kind of goes into the unfinished business side, right?
Yeah.
But like they just don't know they're dead and they're just going on with life as they think. And it might be stuck in that same loop.
So the sixth sense theory.
Sixth
sense theory.
There you
go. That was tough to
That's
say.
a tough one. There you go.
That is.
Yeah. So like, they just don't know. So they're just continuing on and, they could have been walking across the street and got hit by a car and then their mind doesn't remember getting hit by a car. So they're just constantly walking across the street. Cause I watch all those ghost shows and you see like videos of like like a mist going across the street or something like that. That's one of my theories. If it's not interdimensional beings,
Yeah. I'll say this is it's really hard to, sometimes it's not hard. I'll say this, but you got a lot of videos online and you'll see things, whether it's UFOs,
just like UFOs. Yeah,
or
I know.
aliens or the ultimate Bigfoot and Nessie and Loch Ness. Right. And a lot of those things are just for attention and clicks and, it's clickbaity. But I did look up why people become ghosts.
Oh, you got an actual list, huh?
I do. I do.
You WebMD'd it?
Well, not WebMD, but I did use the internet to look this up.
He used the Google.
I used the Google. And you did mention unfinished business, David, right? So that's one of them. The other is excessive grief or of relatives. So if you pass on and people are grieving over your death a lot, doesn't mean you're going to forget about them. But if you're like, you're sad, there's a lot of emotion here, that could keep ghosts here.
So that you think they get stuck because people are
because of their thoughts, because of their emotion attached to you being
Doesn't
gone,
release them to
a certain extreme of your emotions connected to the person. I think they think keeps them here.
Okay.
That's a thought. Yeah.
Next is excessive attachment to material things. So what I read was, let's say you built a house and you spend a lot of time putting furniture together, right? And you're attached to something, some material thing, and you pass on because that was what you're attached to. Maybe it was that apartment unit, the apartment in general. I don't know. That's an example of why.
It was not that apartment unit. I can guarantee that.
I don't know.
That's an interesting thing too, because there's a lot of haunted material things out there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's the famous Annabelle doll. There's a lot of there's I think it's a place in Las Vegas, and I think it has something to do with Ed and Lorraine Warren, where they have like a museum of haunted objects. I remember there's one ghost show that my dad watches, and like they go out and seek these objects, and then they put it on a little shelf in this.
I mean, Ed and Lorraine Warren, they do have everything that they've experienced that had either an attachment to demonic, experience, or as part of something that they were, cleansing, whatever, they put in their own little room. And I don't know if it's every day, every week, or every month, but they have a priest come and bless the room to cleanse it.
And they have to wear like gloves and all that kind of stuff too.
And they'll take that, like you mentioned, Annabelle doll. They'll take that Annabelle doll out and do the cleansing ritual, and they'll put it in. It's very step by step, very specific. Like, don't mess up.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Wonder how much that dude gets paid.
He's a priest. He does it because he has to.
Religion. We won't go into that.
I was like, probably a lot.
All right. So next thing is excessive sense of enjoyment. So maybe you were really enjoying your life. There's a lot of things that you just enjoyed in general, and you passed on, and you felt like you're still connected. You haven't completed the things in life that you wanted to, and you still have this sense of enjoyment before passing. That could be a reason why you're still around.
That's a new one for me. I've never thought about it like that. I felt like if you were having a great life and then all of a sudden it was over, that would be
You're like, I've done what I've done.
To move on. But
but you have some
sense.
connection, right? Like, hey, you have a good time doing something here while you're still alive. You still kind of think about that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of like that could kind of dive into that material one a little bit. It's where you're just like, oh, this is no. I'm doing this, or this is my thing. I need to stay doing this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, the final things, which this might become very obvious, maybe to some, but I'll say them both at the same time here, is suicide or violent death.
Right.
Because of the experience of your death there, which was very negative and torturous potentially, that's still keeping you there. Obviously, we don't know these things.
Right.
Right? There's no way to prove these things, but we take what we know and potential theories and we put them on paper, and maybe it's real, maybe it's not, but I found this on the internet and it must be true.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen the internet. Everything on there is true.
It's
just like all those videos.
It hits. It hits.
So this might be a topic for another Black Book series, but demonic possessions and stuff like that. What do you guys think about like exorcisms and by priests and stuff like that? What do you guys think about that? I mean, again, we could probably go way more in depth in a future episode in Black Book, but I don't know. It just popped in my head,
That's a tough one because zero experience of seeing something like that. So it's like, all right, I've seen videos, I've heard stories. No, you can watch some like real videos of somebody that's possessed, and you're like, all right, well, looking at those eyes, that's definitely a crazy person. But what are we actually talking about here? So I kind of got a mixed bag of feelings on that one. I can go either way. Maybe this is like a mental illness psycho. What the fuck is that?
Psychotic breakdown.
Yeah, it was psychotic breakdowns. One way to say it, but there's like it doesn't matter what it is, but like just mental issues or being an insane person.
Right.
And maybe it could be related to like, you know, a lot of the experiences I have with that are people on the street that are probably dealing with like drug issues and stuff like that at the same time.
Being on a lot of LSD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I think, and I take it from what I know with other scenarios, which is let me give an example of like a basic example here. So the perfect bank robbery or heist you'll never hear about. Right? What's to say that this is real and that there has been exorcisms and demonic, you know, scenarios, but it's not on the internet. It's not written down. It's not even talked about by these people. Right? Brings me to my point is I think a lot of things that are available to the public that we find on YouTube or Reddit or who knows what, most, if not all, are a little not real. Right? But it's up to us to go, does that look real to me?
Right.
And do I believe in this enough to go, oh my God, yes. Right?
Being able to wrap your mind around whatever that phenomenon might have just been. Whatever
it is. And I truly think that anything is possible in this world. There was a time when we didn't think, you couldn't even think about what the internet was. Here we are talking about the internet. Like, could you imagine explaining the internet to somebody? Like if you time traveled back 100 years, how would you explain the internet?
I wouldn't even try. I'd be like, nah, you guys, this is too complicated for y'all.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's another topic.
How would you explain a phone, like a smartphone? Hey, yeah, no, it's in your pocket. It's a device. What do you mean device? So it's technology. What do you mean technology? Like, it's impossible.
It's like an abacus. Way more.
Yeah. So there's experiences we can't explain. Not everyone has these experiences. Like me, I've never had the experience, but you guys have. Some things you want to put an answer to because you're trying to find answers.
Right.
But you only have answers of what your brain has experienced before. You're like, well, AC. Oh, this could be something with the lights.
Right.
Or who knows what. But connecting this to our last conversation, UFOs, interdimensional beings.
I'm telling you, it starts to make more sense.
It's just a random dude just shutting his own door. And you're just like, what the fuck was that?
All I'm saying is if I was in the ghost world, I'm sure I would shut a door just to know that I could do that. But repetitively, I don't know. I think I'd evolve more quicker than that. I think these ghosts are weak.
That door slams right there. It's like, bam. He's like, you think I'm weak?
Okay, I'm sorry, ghost. Yeah. But that's my opinion on it.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think we've kind of done a broad brush on all this, and you know, if anybody out there has some ghost stories of your own, absolutely
give us your stories.
Yes,
they will be aired instantly.
Yeah, that's something that I would love to read. If you have something, hit us up on our Instagram, our Facebook. Heck, hit us up on TikTok. You know, The Rise of Basic Men. And or our email address, theriseofbasicmen@gmail.com. We want to hear what you got to say. These Black Book series episodes are always one of the funnest ones that we do.
Yep. Let us know what interests you, right? We have our own ideas in this world of the Black Book series, the phenomenons, the paranormal. Let us know what you want to hear, and it might be something we're interested in.
For sure. But until then, just keep rising, keep inspiring, and remember, your story matters.
Here, baby.
Take it down.
catch on the fucking background noise.
There you go. Well, then you talked about it, but
Edit. We'll edit this, and if you don't, we're bad. I like Whiskey David.
Slowly expand.
I like Whiskey David.